Hey there. Yeah, as the title of the video says, I kind of felt like I wanted to do this video just for anyone that's kind of curious, I guess, about what I've been doing with these live streams where I'm doing all this animation and stuff. Basically, I've been working on an adult animated series for quite some time now. It's still I'm working on the pilot episode for it, and it's taken a very long time. So I thought I'd sort of do this video to kind of explain where I'm at and maybe fill you in on some of my progress and give you some insight into my process, stuff like that. Because normally when I'm doing these live streams, I'm not talking. I can sometimes be on camera, but I'm not actually talking. I'm just like focusing on doing the drawings and stuff like that. Sometimes I just don't feel like talking while I'm doing it. But today I figured like I said, I'd stop by and give a little update about what's happening with this. So basically, I'm kind of seeing the finish line for this episode at the minute. There's a couple more scenes that I want to obviously finish off, keep on working through, and just getting them looking as good as I can and sounding as good as they can. This is by far the biggest animated project I've ever worked on, and in terms of everything, in terms of the scope of the idea of what's happening, the length, and then it's just learning a bunch of. I've had to learn a bunch of new skills too in order to pull this off. I kind of had the idea, and it started to become more of a burning desire for me to come up with a sort of story and world of my own that I could animate and have different characters interact in. And over time, the scope of the project just kind of kept getting bigger. And as well, during that time, I've been doing this for like quite a few years now, to be honest. And during that time, I actually switched softwares and stuff like that I was using to make the series. So started out I was using Adobe Flash to do the show, and I actually got quite far in making the episode in that. But then I was introduced to Blender Grease Pencil, and that was right around the time when I was kind of coming up with this idea or this concept to have 3D environments as backgrounds and 2D character drawings. And Blender Grease Pencil allowed me to do that. When I've seen sort of the things that you could do in the software, it kind of just blew my mind, and it kind of made me rethink my whole strategy in terms of what I wanted the show to be and how I wanted it to look, how I wanted it to function. And so during that time, I decided, you know what, I'm going to take some time out. I'm going to learn Blender. I'm going to, try to see if I can get some stuff done in that. And that took a while again. But I finally got to a place where I was happy with the style that I was able to pull off and how everything was kind of working, and kind of wrap my head around using the software both in 3D modeling and doing the 2D character drawings. And so now when I finally got to a place where I was happy with that, I decided to like continue and try to do the episode in this. And sorry if I'm by the way, sorry if I'm stuttering and stuff like that. This is completely like there's no script here. I'm just kind of saying all this stuff off the cuff. But as I was saying, once I got my head wrapped around everything, I decided, yeah, I'm gonna attempt to do this using Blender. And so that's when I really started doing like the animation live streams of me creating this first episode. And even during that time, I've seen a lot of changes in what I'm doing and sort of coming up with different ideas of what I want this to be and how I want it to come across in terms of vibe, in terms of what I want to get across in the story in the first episode, and just everything in between. And that's been a very lengthy process of development for me because animation in itself takes a very long time to complete. If you know anything about animation, even like one episode of The Simpsons or one episode of Family Guy, when a team of like hundreds of people is working on that, even they can take 9 months to a year to make one single episode of the show. And so, as I'm just doing this on my own, you can imagine the sort of, you know, technicalities and the weight that's on my shoulders to, you know, do all of this on my own and not have a team behind me. So that's all been very difficult, and like I said, the development cycle's been extremely long. But I am happy to say that I'm sort of reaching the finish line now. I can see the scenes coming together. I have it all outlined. I think the whole episode is finished with writing. There may be a few things that I go in and tweak before I kind of put my final stamp of approval on it. But I always go through I've always been going through phases as well of like getting something done. Like, for example, a voice recording and editing it all together, and then I'll put that into the scene and start animating. And over time, I'm kind of seeing like holes, not holes in my writing, but just parts of my script that I've written that I'm not happy with. And so that's been a long process too. It's all kind of been a learning experience to where I I'm not happy with my work. I'm overcritical of it a lot of the time, and so there's just a lot of changes that I've been making during that process too. And so with all of that happening, I kind of had to start training myself to sort of come out of that way of thinking and realize that I'm never going to be able to achieve absolute perfection with this. I've kind of just got to learn to, okay, I've got the story like where I want it enough to where I can portray what I want to portray, and I just have to, you know, keep fighting that until I see the finish line, because I think no matter how much I do, I'm never going to see it as perfect. But I think the goal should be to get it as close to like what I'm envisioning as I can, you know, and then just you know, turn it out like that, and whatever it ends up being, that's what it's gonna be. But long story short, you know, like I said, it's all been a learning experience for me. Every single part of this has been a learning experience. Like I said, I'm doing everything on this. I'm doing the animation. I'm doing all of the 3D environments that you see in the different scenes of the show. I'm doing all of the character drawings, which you can see down here, these little diamond shapes all on the timeline. That's all individual drawings. This is just one short part of a scene right here. This is only 600 frames, which when it plays out, that 600 frames is maybe going to be about 4 seconds of footage. So yeah, you can imagine the scale of, and this is just drawings for this one character right here also. You know, when I switch to the other character and stuff like that, you can see a whole new set of drawings for him, which for this part I, you know, have quite a lot to go for him to make this conversation start coming to life more. But yeah, that's just part of the process. You know, like I said, I've had to learn everything for this. I've had to learn sort of how to act in order to do the voices, so I can get a little better at the voice acting. I've also had to learn, like I said, a bunch of new softwares. Blender's the one that I'm using mostly at the minute, but I also use Photoshop to do all of the 2D stuff, like you can see here the trees and the bushes and the foliage and stuff like that. These fences, those are all 2D drawings that I also place into the 3D scene. And so that's all done those 2D drawings are all done in Photoshop. So that's another software. And there's been 5 or 6 different ones that I've been learning along the way too. But for now, those are the 2 main ones that I'm using for the episode. And then another thing that I had to learn also was I have to learn like how to direct. You have to direct animation just like you would a live action show or a movie. So I've had to learn that. I've had to learn how to write a script. I've had to learn how to do sound design. And I'm also going to be doing the soundtrack for the show, which is obviously making music too. So yeah, everything combined just adds up to a whole lot of hours, a whole lot of learning, and a whole lot of trial and error. Just, you know, experimenting with everything and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't. Because a lot of the times I can also like have a scene all the way like put together, and when I do that, when I put all of the pieces of the puzzle together, it just kind of turns out like the final sum of all the parts just doesn't quite feel right sometimes. And so then I have to start thinking about what it is I need to change to make that better and ensure that I'm happy with it and everything like that. So yeah, overall it's just a very lengthy process, all in all, and yeah, it just takes a long time to do this. And so basically, I guess the point of what I'm saying here is, I know I've been talking about this for a long time and saying, oh, it's coming, and it's coming. But it's just going to require a little patience in regards to anyone that's like interested to see this or whatever, you know. And hopefully you don't lose that interest to want to watch the episode when it's out, because like I said, I know it's been a long time coming, but hopefully that could clear up some of the if there's any confusion about like why it's taken so long, or if it seems like I'm not doing anything and I'm just talking about it all the time. That's actually not the case at all. I've actually been constantly working on this. Any free time that I get, I try to do at least a few drawings toward it. And I've tried to get myself into the habit too of every single day, 7 days a week, I'll try to get at least a little piece of it done. And if I don't, I kind of feel unhappy in myself, like I haven't accomplished really anything for the day. And so that kind of like bugs me mentally. But yeah, doing all that, and then when you combine that with like me going deep into depression and stuff like that, and finding it very difficult to get motivated to do anything while I'm feeling like that, it all kind of leads to a storm of things, you know, a storm of emotion, a storm of creative block and everything like that. So it all becomes very difficult sometimes. But I'm determined. I know that this is a story that I've wanted to tell for years now. And I've just been taking all this time to kind of try to figure out how I want to present that story and how I want to tell it. And so I'm going to keep on doing it until I achieve my dream of, you know, finishing it off. And good news is I already have outlines for 3 episodes of the show finished. It's all in my head at the minute for the most part. I do have about half of the second episode written already, which is really good. I'm glad to say that the ideas for the second episode, once I had sort of laid down the outline for the first episode and figured out what I wanted to show in the story so far and everything like that, that took a very long time to figure out for the first episode for whatever reason. It just like took so long to come on to sort of all click together, all the puzzle pieces. But once I did that, the second episode fell together like way more easily for me, which I was happy about. So like I said, I have about half of the second episode written already. I haven't started animating that yet, of course. I'll wait until I finish this episode before I start animating the second episode. But hopefully by the time I finish animating the first episode, I'll have the second episode more or less completely written, and so I can just jump straight into starting full-on production of the second episode. And I hope to continue in that fashion. So like while I'm animating the second episode, I'll start writing the third episode. The third episode, I have a rough outline of where I want it to go in my head, but I don't have any dialogue or anything written for that episode yet. I just have the story in my mind, and so I'm happy enough with that for now. For the first 3 episodes, I think that's, I feel as if I'm in a pretty good place, and then just trying to figure out how to really make my production cycle more efficient, because I don't want to finish this episode and then have a really, really long break in between the first and second episode and going forward. But I think the first episode is all going to be a learning experience. I think by the time I finish this, I'll have figured out a little better how to make the production cycle more efficient. And like I said, I had a much easier time with writing the second episode than I did the first. So hopefully that'll help, like, shorten down, the production time of that episode more. But yeah, I kind of want to just give that update. Let you know I haven't quit on the show, and I'm not going to quit on the show. I think that a lot of times people will give up on their dreams, and I've never really been one to do that. I'm a dreamer, I dream big, and I want to try my damn best to get to where I'm going with this and see how it turns out. Like I said, I have no idea how this is going to be received as a animation or anything like that, and I don't really have that in my mind at the minute. That's not my goal. My goal is not really to be like, oh, look at how many views I got on this. My goal is more like, this is a story that I want to tell, and I'm passionate about what I'm doing and how I can make it look, and how I can use what I have to hopefully make something that people will find cool. But at the same time, it's more about, like, I'm trying to make something that I want to watch. You know what I mean? That's kind of the way I always try to see it. I'm like asking myself, is this something that I would find cool if I was flicking through my TV guide or my TV channels and I seen this? Would I be like, oh shit, what is this? And would I want to check it out? So that's kind of the lens I try to see it through, But yeah, I don't know. I guess like I said, this is like off the cuff. So this, I'm gonna continue this stream now, but I'm actually just gonna continue working on this seat. I probably will stay on the mic and just maybe talk shit while I'm drawing. Or like, if any thoughts come to me that I kind of forgot to mention just then, I'll probably just say them while I'm drawing. But yeah, that's about it for an update. Oh, I guess a important thing to mention too would be like a release of the first episode. That might be a good thing to mention too. Now, I did have a goal of having this episode finished for Halloween, putting it out for the 31st. But that date is quickly approaching, and quite recently I've had a very hard time with my motivation. Like I said, I've still been getting a little bit done every day, but I've been wildly depressed lately, and so it's been very difficult to sort of put a lot more hours into it than I would like. So I don't know if I'm gonna make the Halloween deadline, unfortunately, but I'm still shooting for it. I'm still trying. There's gonna be days where I'll put like 12 hours of time into this and stuff like that when I can. But even after I finish all the scenes, I'll still have to do the editing, the final edit. I'll still have to do the soundtrack, like the music for the show, and the sound design. To make and record any sound effects that I might need for the episode. And I'll also have to do like color correcting and just the final touches of like any sort of effects that need to be in there, like whether it be like filters or I will have like the character holding like a camcorder, so I'll have to put a VHS effect onto some of the shots to finish up post-production as well, and like the final effects, those kind of touches. And so but I don't think I'll be able to get that all done before Halloween. But like I said, I'll keep trying my best. But once I figure out more, once I have a more like definite sort of schedule for when I think I can realistically have this done, I'll be sure to put out an update. Maybe I'll do like another teaser or something like that with like a release date on it. I've been thinking about maybe doing that, but I don't want to give like a definite release date yet before I know like I'll be able to finish it for that deadline, you know? So don't take Halloween as like the like me saying that's the release date or anything like that. I'm just saying that was like initially what I was kind of thinking, but I like I said, I don't think I'll be able to reach that deadline. Um, but I'm just gonna keep on doing this, and I'm going to get this shit done. And yeah, I'm very happy with how it's turning out. Like I said, I know I don't talk much while I'm doing these normally, so it's kind of I'm giving you all these thoughts at once. Um, but yeah, I've been very pleased with like where my experiments have led me to, and like I said, how this all has been turning out. So yeah, let me just continue on with this scene here that I was doing. Now, I don't know if you know, I don't know if you can see this or not, but this particular shot right here is inspired by Halloween, the John Carpenter movie Halloween. It's kind of the part where Laurie and her friends are walking through the neighborhood, and the camera's right in front of them like this, and it's panning back as they move toward the camera. And they're just kind of having their conversation. They're being stalked by Michael Myers at this point in the story, and so this shot was heavily inspired by Halloween, shall we say, and also It Follows has a shot like this too. But I know It Follows was inspired by Halloween for that shot, so it's kind of weird how it works, you know. I got inspired by Halloween a lot for this episode. I don't want to, without giving away too many spoilers, there's going to be like found footage elements combined with slasher elements in this story. And my animated series is not going to be a comedy, first and foremost. It's going to be. I'm going to play around with genre, but the first episode, at least, will be kind of more a slasher movie combined with found footage. And so that's really all I want to say for now. But let's say these guys might be in some trouble here toward the end of the episode, and they may have a little mystery on their hands. But like I was saying, it's kind of weird how it works. So, like I said, this shot is inspired by Halloween, but it's also inspired by It Follows. So it all kind of harbors back to Halloween anyway, because, like I said, It Follows was heavily inspired by Halloween, and so it just kind of moves down and down, but yet goes back to being inspired by Halloween at the end. But anyway, I think I'm going to just work on some more of these drawings. There's one, I'm going to work on my blue character here because I believe he's talking more at the minute than his friend. His friend's feeling kind of really anxious, kind of scared at something that he just seen back in his friend's house, which is a scene that I have worked on live streams before as well. But again, I wasn't talking during those ones, I was just animating. So there's no real context to those besides like if you sit and watch the whole thing, which sometimes like watching someone animate, I find that it can be very boring sometimes because each drawing takes a long time to do. So while you're watching that, you just have no context of what's happening. It can be kind of monotonous to watch someone animate because the whole process just takes so long, and it's just little piece by little piece. It can kind of be like watching paint dry, I guess, at times. But until you see the final product come out, then that's when it'll make more sense, and you'll be like, oh, I see what they were going for there. But as an animator, you can pick up on the little subtleties of it, and when you know in your mind what you're trying to achieve, all of each individual puzzle piece makes sense in and of itself without the context. But that's just because I have the foresight of knowing what this story's going to be and how I want it to turn out. And so obviously, as someone that's just watching me do that, they're not going to have that foresight, and that they're not going to have that foresight into what's going on, you know. So it can be quite weird and boring to watch that, I guess. All right, so what I'm noticing here is when he lifts his arms here, I've already done the drawing here of like the vest underneath his armpit, like going up. But when it gets to this drawing, it's gone now in these three drawings. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that now. When he puts his arms back down, that's fine. You're not gonna see that anyway, so it's okay to not draw it there. But for these three drawings, I gotta add that in, because we don't want any of these unnecessary errors to be in the animation. But what I think I'm going to do, instead of redrawing them, I'm going to give them some more consistency instead. Now, it's weird, I could have swore I did this already, but obviously not. Maybe I just forgot to save, or maybe I didn't do it. But anyway, for the consistency of it, I'm going to take this same line that I had drawn and just copy that and paste it instead of redrawing the drawing, because that will, like I said, it'll make the line look more consistent. But as you can see here, the character is more in an up pose of his walk cycle there when he hits that keyframe, and so I just gotta move that up along with his drawing. Match it up, make it look consistent. Let me take these overlays away for a second. Alright, that looks good. And so I'll go ahead and just fill that in now. And what I do like to do too is right down here in the fold by his armpit, I like to take a couple of those vector points out, just to, you know, so his arm doesn't look like it's just stuck onto his body. It looks like it's actually naturally attached there. So go ahead and do that. Now there's a point there that I need to take away. Alright. Yeah, that looks good. And we will go ahead and fill that in with his skin rather than the vest texture. So yeah, grease pencil, these 2D drawings, doing these in Blender, took a while for me to get used to doing, to be honest, especially in regards to like how it changes when you change the camera angle and stuff like that, because as you can see, moving a 2D drawing around in a 3D space, once you start looking at them from a different angle, the drawings can look kind of funny sometimes. So you've really got to settle on what camera angle you want first, and then do the drawings according to that. But as well as that, the materials, learning how to do these paint materials for the characters, that took quite a while to get used to as well. But what I really like is that I can add textures onto the paint as well. So as you can see here, like his vest looks like it has like cotton. It's like cotton. His skin looks, their skin looks like skin. If I zoom really close to him, you can see the little blemishes and stuff like that. And so what I do is I combine a texture with cartoon paint, and so it's kind of a mixture between looking cartoony and looking realistic, if that makes sense. And I just like then you can play around with the opacity of the material and stuff like that, the blend you can see there. And so that can, you know, bring it up and down, and how heavily you want that texture to show. See, if you bring it up to 1, it disappears completely, and when you hit 0, that's completely the skin. It's the skin texture without the paint. So I just kind of put it to where it looks, where I think it looks good, Let me undo that so I get that back. I'm actually gonna change the skin texture on the teal character here at some point, but that doesn't take long to do. I just got to choose a different image from the drop down menu, and I'm going to use the same one that I have for the red hair character here. It's just because this particular skin texture right here, it tiles really funny sometimes when you do certain drawings and it just looks wrong. Like you can see where the image has tiled itself and where it starts to repeat. And so I don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like, just all one natural texture. But like I said, it doesn't take long to change the image texture that you're using on that. You just open the drop menu and bring up a new image. So that's why I haven't bothered to change that yet. I'll show you an example here actually. When he lifts his arm further up, I think it's down here somewhere. I noticed this one the other day. Come on, where are you? Yeah. Right here. You can maybe notice it right here to like the left of his shoulder and the rest of his arm. You can see that line right there, that definite line of where the texture starts repeating. And yeah, that's just some of the textures you'll find that with, and so I don't want stuff like that to be showing in the textures. So yeah, I'm just better off like changing that texture, because I think I've tried to like scale that texture and stuff like that, and it still really just tiles. It just tiles kind of badly from certain angles and certain fills. But this one that I have on this character, that's pretty great. It's like not as noticeable of a skin texture, but it is it does tile very well. Like you don't notice the you don't notice where it starts to repeat and stuff like that, like this one. But anyway, let's see where we at. And it's weird, I keep seeing a drawing here where the fills in his eyes are missing when I'm scrubbing through the pictures fast. But when I go back to try to find that, when I slow it down, there doesn't appear to be anywhere where the fills are missing. I think it's just because he does that like quick drop, but it's like definitely like, see, there's definitely one there where the pink in his eyes is missing. Very frustrating. I don't think that I think maybe it's just because I'm scrubbing through, it kind of like glitches the texture out. Because even when I play it back, I don't notice that. So it's very weird.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, there's definitely not one missing, so that's fine. But anyway, I'm going to hide these 3D models for now and hide all of the 2D planes so that it's just a little easier on the computer. Because if the frame rates and stuff are like running messed up, I'm not going to be able to time out the lip syncing correctly and all of that stuff, and like their movements, because I have the voices of the characters played on another timeline here on the video sequencer. And so when you put too much stuff in the scene and you try to play it back, the frame rate can get all messed up, and so that means that I'm not going to hear their speech at the correct time. And so once I animate their mouth movements and their character acting and all that stuff, the timing will be thrown off for that, and so taking all that stuff out of the scene just kind of makes it easier on the frame rate, so I can time it all out better.
What? I haven't seen it. What? I haven't seen it.
Even now, you see, that's not playing back in. That's not in sync.
I haven't seen it. What? I haven't seen it.
I don't know why it's doing that now. That was every time I was playing that before, it was right.
What? I haven't seen it.
That's strange.
What? I haven't seen it. haven't seen it.
Yeah, you see, we're getting like 15 frames per second at the minute for some reason. I really don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because I'm like added so much drawings in or something. But that's gonna make it particularly difficult to time this part of the animation because, as you can see there, the lip syncing is like already thrown off from the voice just because the frame rate slowed down so much. So I'm animating at 30 frames a second average, so having half that frame rate while you're hitting
What?
play
I haven't
is
seen it.
gonna make it very difficult to line up his speech.
Oh, I hate walking. I have
And again, why is this frame rate so terrible at the minute? This was working okay the last time.
hate walking. I have got to hurry up and fix my car.
Oh my goodness, that is awful. Maybe Blender's just not willing to work with us today. Actually, yeah, I forgot that I have to do those other two drawings with the armpit thing anyway, so let me do that for now. But that's very frustrating. So we'll open that line work layer back up again, lock the mouth ones, and again, no, actually I'll lock the fill as well because I don't want to copy the paint. I just want to copy the line work. Alright, and copy and paste. And now we got to move that back down again, about right there. Let's see. Alright, that looks okay. And again, back up. Perfect, perfect. And now, let's erase those points under his armpit again. And that one. And the same with this. Move it. Alright, there we go. And then I'll go ahead and fill those in quickly. So that's another thing that I've been doing, kind of. I don't know exactly how much it's slowing me down in my production, but it's not the best way to do it. I've noticed that I've been doing a line drawing, finishing off all of the lines, and then immediately like painting each one individually at a time, and that's not an ideal way to do it. Ideally, I would be doing all of the line drawings first before I paint any of them, and then once they're all finished, then go back and start painting them that way, you know, rather than switching from line drawing to painting, line drawing to painting. Yeah, I recognize the way that I'm doing it at the minute in that regard is just not ideal, but hopefully by the time episode 2 rolls around, I'll start, doing better at that kind of stuff too. I should really get myself in the habit of doing that from now, but it is what it is for now. And then that's another thing I keep doing too. Every time I'm doing a line drawing, I will end up like fully like sculpting it and cleaning it up, rather than again waiting until I have all of them done and then doing that. It's just kind of a weird, just kind of a strange way of doing it. But like I said, I'll get better. I'll get better at keeping a more efficient practice the more I do it. I wanted to just lift that shoulder piece up there a little bit because there was a couple of vectors like poking out and it looks strange. Fill that small part in there. Yeah, you see these little vectors pointing down here? Makes it look weird in the drawing. Very small details, but it's got to be done. I'm like cleaning this up at the minute. And again, I'm kind of just doing this now too, because for whatever reason, the frame rate is just like shitting itself right now. I don't know if that's due to the fact that I'm like live streaming it at the same time and stuff. It might be that. So I'll probably work more on the lip syncing when I'm not streaming, so that I can get the best frame rate possible for that. And another one. How did I miss that when I was finishing up that drawing? That's like really annoying. Two little vectors poking down like that. Edit the whole line. Back into sculpt mode and grab that up again so we don't see that poking out. And this is another thing that I really love about Grease Pencil, is the fact that you can do all of this editing and sculpting on each and every line. It just gives you so much more control than like than I was getting in Adobe Flash. And the fact that I can like go in and like manipulate every line like that, it just leads to like I can get really interesting results. And it also is like super helpful for doing in between frames, in between drawings, because rather than like do a whole new drawing for an in between, now I can sort of take the main pose and I can manipulate that to like make that an in between, rather than draw a whole new drawing, which is cool. And I can also do I'm also been able to start doing like really interesting like smears and stuff with that too. Which I can actually show an example of what I'm talking about there right now, because as you can see, his arms go from down by his side to out like that. But when that plays out, it doesn't look too smooth. What we want to do there is have an in-between drawing in between those two frames. And that onion skinning is obviously showing it there. These blue drawings of the arms are the next frame. So if I take that frame and I duplicate it, wait, let me select it first. What are we in, sculpt mode? No, we want to be in draw mode right now. So I take those frames and I duplicate them and I drop it one frame before. Then I can take that into edit mode, just select the arms, and then go into sculpt mode. Then I can take these with the grab tool, grab it down like that, and so you see I'm getting an in-between drawing here without having to do a new drawing. So I can take that and sort of like I've found that I've like these really smeared looks for the in-betweens. I just think it adds a cool effect to the drawing, to the animation when it plays out. So take that. I don't want that fill to go over the vest. Let me put that back in there. Let me take off those overlays for now so I can see. Alright. Something like that. Maybe smear this out some more. Like that. And that. And then so now you can see it goes from here to that to that. But when that plays out, it gives like it gives like an interesting effect on there on the in-between, like a smear. That's very like subtle, that one, but there's some like really great smears that I've been able to pull off with in-betweens using that. I also use that on the mouth. I also use that technique on the mouths. As you can see, when he goes from the O shape here to the closed shape and like back, you can see those smears that I've done in between there, all with the mouths. But it adds a really interesting effect when you see it in action.
What? I didn't see it. What? I didn't see it.
It just looks really, really kind of bouncy and really kind of adds a good liveliness to it, I think. Save that. Of course, you gotta regularly save as much as you can because you never know when the software is gonna crash and then all of your nice drawings have gone to waste if you don't save. Yeah, well, this is really annoying me with the frame rate right now. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with that. Hopefully it's just the fact that I'm streaming and it's kind of slowing everything down for me, but that's super annoying because I feel like I can't really do any animation right now when it's running like that. So I'm thinking maybe I should like work on some of the, see if I have any changes to make to the 3D environment, and I can maybe do that for now while I'm streaming. If not, I'm not sure. I'll see what's happening. I'll see how I'm feeling now when I see this render. And so when I'm doing this, when I press the render button, obviously this now is what that frame is going to look like when it's finished. So you can see it now with the, when I have it back, like when I'm just working on it like this is just the material preview. Oh, maybe that's why it's running rough. I think I've got material preview on. That could probably tank my frame rate too. Let me see.
What? I didn't see it.
Slightly better.
What? I didn't see it. What? I didn't see it.
Maybe not.
Oh, I hate walking. I have got to hurry up and fix my car.
Yeah, never mind. It didn't work. That didn't work too well. But yeah, as I was saying, this is just kind of like a material preview that I do all of the drawings in. That's not what the final thing is going to look like. Again, I have like the lighting all hidden in the scene at the minute. I have all the 3D stuff and the 2D drawings hidden. So when I do this and you see this screen popping up for a few seconds, that's just, it's rendering out the frame, so I can, then I'll know what the whole frame's going to look like when it's finished. So yeah, just in case you didn't have the context for what I was doing, when you see this on my streams, that's what's happening. And so I'll just like look at the rendered frame for a bit and see if I'm happy with how it's looking. So yeah, that's what it all looks, that's when it all comes together, that's what it's going to look like in the finished scene. I'm noticing here, this house right here in the back, I've got to add another smaller window right there. That looks kind of weird because you've got obviously another room there in the house. So I'm going to add another window in there, and maybe even one downstairs here too on the right. This part in the middle that's covered by the sort of, not gazebo, what do you call this, like a porch, I guess. I could maybe put a back door in there too, but that's like hidden kind of in the shadows there, so I'm not sure if I'll even do that or not. That might be a detail that we can miss out on, but I definitely got to add more windows to this just to make it look more like it needs to look. So let's go scrub down a few frames here until the friend comes back in. And as we can see there in the background, we see our not so nice character. He's kind of stalking our main characters. It's like, it's weird. I want to be very careful about what I'm saying because I don't want to give any spoilers away either. But yeah, you're gonna see him in the background for a few seconds before the camera switches to this angle it's gonna, you know, play out like this and then cut to a different angle. But while that's right before that happens, like when he's around like down here, as you can see, you now see that this character pops into frame, and so that gives some indication that they're being followed. I did this after my last animation live stream. I actually fixed this character's walk cycle. And that's something that I've never done before, is a walk cycle from the front view of a character. And so it's not the greatest, but it gets the job done. You can see that he's walking. So, like I was saying earlier, uh, I've gotten kind of past the point of like chasing absolute perfection with this. As long as I can kind of portray what I need to portray, I'm gonna have to be happy with that, you know. Um, so I'm okay with this. I'm okay with how this walk cycle turned out. I might add a couple of frames in there, but we'll see how it goes. But for now, I can see what he's supposed to be doing, so that's fine. So if I'm just gonna do a render of that frame, see how it all comes together when it's finished. And that's good. So yeah, I'm happy with this. This is actually kind of what I wanted to achieve with this character here for now. I kind of wanted him to still be in the shadows, as it were, and not reveal too much of his design as of yet. And so you can very kind of faintly see his design if you look really close, but from far away, this is going to be like the entirety of what's on screen, obviously, in the final product. And so if you're looking at that, you can kind of just see a silhouette by this stage, and that's really what I wanted to pull off here. But I designed this frame too in a way that your eyes would sort of be drawn to the center of the screen. It's all of this is by design, you know. I put the moon up here, right in the middle, with the lamppost underneath it, which like draws that blue light down here. And then I'm gonna add like a lamp here on the house that is giving off that orange glow. So as you can see, that's all running straight down the center of the frame, and so it's drawing your eyes toward this area. And then so you'll be able to better see, like, you'll be able to kind of see when he like pops out there from behind them, and you'll be like, it's only gonna last a couple of seconds in the final shot, so it'll kind of start playing with like, did I see that, or was I seeing things, or whatever. It's kind of giving that idea of how the character's feeling too. This character's feeling like quite paranoid and quite anxious because of something that he's seen back in his friend's house. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to achieve with that. And then obviously the characters being in the middle of the shot too, in a lot of places like here and stuff like that, for example. That's all going to keep your eyes focused more on the center of the screen. So yeah, I'm happy with how this shot is turning out so far. But it's just hopefully that frame rate will like correct itself once I like I'm working on that, like not during a live stream and stuff like that. And so I can obviously get the conversation finished between these two. But yeah, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop it there for now, guys. Just because, like I said, I'm not very happy with how this frame rate's going at the minute, but it's still early in the evening, so I'll probably get more drawings done off stream. Um, but yeah, that wasn't the main point of this video anyway. The main point of the video was to just kind of give the update and stuff like that about what's actually happening with the episode, and sort of just give more context about these streams in general, you know, about like, in case you've ever like clicked onto one of these and been like, what is this guy doing? Because yeah, it's kind of hard to tell sometimes without context, like what I'm actually doing in these streams. um so yeah, I just really wanted to give like a little more insight into all of that, and hopefully you found some valuable information there. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream there, guys, and probably get to work on this more, and then I will keep you posted about the release date and all of that good stuff. But yeah, until next time, take it easy.